Businessman stops at the gas station and freezes when he sees his ex-wife pregnant pumping gas. Michael Anderson felt his chest tighten every time he had to step out of the comfort of his air-conditioned office. His import business was growing fast, but the responsibilities left him exhausted and anxious for any sign that his personal life might get back on track. That Tuesday afternoon in Naperville, he pulled into the highway gas station to fill up his black Lexus when his world came crashing down. There, struggling to hold the fuel nozzle because of her prominent belly, was Jennifer Wilson. His ex-wife, visibly at least 6 months pregnant, wore the red attendant's uniform. "Good afternoon, can I help you?" she asked mechanically, before lifting her eyes and recognizing him. Jennifer's face instantly paled. Her hands trembled so much that she dropped the nozzle, spilling gasoline on the ground. The strong smell spread through the warm afternoon air. Michael stood frozen. 8 months had passed since their messy separation, when he discovered the astronomical debts she had racked up from online gambling. But the round belly straining against the tight uniform left no doubt. She was expecting a baby. "Jennifer," he murmured, still trying to process the scene. "Sir, do you want gas or not?" she asked in a shaky voice, trying to maintain her professional composure. A harsh voice cut through the air. The station manager, a middle-aged woman with her hair pulled into a tight bun, approached shouting, "Jennifer, what kind of waste is this? Do you know how much each spilled gallon costs?" "Sorry, Ms. Pamela. It was an accident," Jennifer replied, lowering her head, her cheeks flushed with shame. Michael watched the scene with a sinking stomach. The woman who had once shared his king-sized bed was now being publicly scolded by a stranger. Jennifer bent down with difficulty to clean up the spilled fuel, her belly hindering her movements. "Let me clean that up," he said, stepping forward. "No," Jennifer stopped him with a sharp look. "I've got it." She finished cleaning and picked up the nozzle again, avoiding eye contact. An awkward silence stretched between them as she filled the tank. Michael couldn't stop staring at her belly, mentally calculating the dates. "Regular or premium?" she asked, keeping her tone professional. "Premium." When the tank was full, Michael pulled the platinum credit card from his pocket. Jennifer saw the gold card, and her eyes welled with restrained tears. "That'll be $85, she whispered. He swiped the card and impulsively left a $50 tip on the machine. "I can't take that," she said quickly, pushing the money back. "Ms. Pamela doesn't allow tips. If she sees, I'll lose my job." Jennifer picked up the bill and held it out to him with trembling hands. Michael noticed her bitten nails and dry skin, so different from the manicured hands he remembered. Inside, while finalizing the payment, Michael took the chance to talk to Kevin, an employee stocking shelves. "That woman outside, has she worked here long?" he asked discreetly. "Jennifer? About 3 months. Poor thing works like crazy. Lives out back in the little room the boss rents out." "Little room?" "Yeah, those tiny spaces behind the station. Really basic, but she says it's fine for her. Works 12-hour shifts straight, especially being pregnant like that." Michael's stomach churned. He returned to his car but couldn't bring himself to start it. He watched Jennifer serve other customers, noticing how she moved slowly, always with a hand supporting her back. An elderly lady, filling up at the station next door, remarked loudly, "That girl is so polite and hard-working. It's a shame she seems to carry such deep sadness in her eyes." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. Michael started the car and left the station with his mind in turmoil. For the rest of the week, he couldn't focus on work. Important meetings felt meaningless when his head was filled with the image of Jennifer, pregnant and wearing that red uniform. The following Friday, he returned to the station, this time at a different hour. It was almost 8 in the evening, and Jennifer was cleaning the fuel pumps. She saw him arrive and immediately looked away. "Good evening," he said, approaching her. "Good evening. Need gas again?" "Actually, I wanted to talk to you." "We have nothing to talk about, Michael," she replied curtly, continuing to clean. "Jennifer, please. The baby. Is it mine?" She stopped cleaning and stared at him, her eyes glistening with held-back tears. "That's none of your business anymore." None of my business? If it's my child. Child? She let out a bitter laugh. You don't even know if it's a boy or a girl. Then tell me, let me help. I don't need your help, she snapped, scrubbing the pump with unnecessary force. Kevin appeared carrying a crate of soda and, sensing the tension, walked over. Everything okay here, Jennifer? Fine, she answered quickly. Sir, if you're not filling up, it's best not to stand here distracting her. Mrs. Pamela is very strict about that. Michael left frustrated once more, but didn't give up. In the days that followed, he began discreetly investigating. He hired a private detective, David Thompson, known for being efficient in family cases. I want you to find out everything about Jennifer Wilson, where she lives, how her health is, what kind of life she's living, Michael instructed in David's office. Any specific reason? She's my ex-wife and she's pregnant. I need to know if the child is mine and why she's working at a gas station. David returned a week later with a detailed report. Michael read it with a heavy heart. She's really living in the tiny back room of the station, pays $500 for a space barely 3 meters by 2.5, with no window, works Monday to Monday, only gets 1 Sunday off a month, earns minimum wage. And the pregnancy? She's 7 months along, gets prenatal care at the community clinic. According to the neighbor next to her room, she fainted last week while working. Fainted? Apparently from not eating properly. There's little money left after paying rent and basic expenses. Michael stood and paced the room. Guilt gnawed at him. Keep digging. I want to know about her debts. What happened after we split? I already have some information on that, David said, opening another folder. The gambling debts were real, but there was more. She was paying for expensive medical treatment. Treatment for what? Her mother, Mrs. Martha. Lung cancer. Private treatment cost $4,000 a month. Michael sank heavily into his chair. Jennifer had never mentioned her mother was sick. Her mother, how is she now? She passed away 5 months ago. Michael's heart stopped for a second. Mrs. Martha had always been kind to him, a simple woman who worked as a housekeeper and raised Jennifer alone after her father abandoned the family. Jennifer never told me her mother was sick. According to neighbors, she sold personal belongings to pay for the treatment. Jewelry, clothes, furniture. Apparently, the addiction to online gambling started as a desperate attempt to multiply money quickly. Michael picked up the phone and called Brian, the accountant who handled his personal finances during his marriage. Brian, I need you to tell me the truth about something. When I separated from Jennifer, I asked you to block all the cards under her name. Did you do it right away? Yes, Mr. Anderson, the same day. Why do you ask? What was the exact date? Let me check. It was March 15th. Michael hung up and checked the dates on the detective's report. Jennifer's mother had passed away on March 20th, 5 days after the cards were blocked. Guilt hit him like a punch to the gut. Jennifer was probably desperate, with no money to cover her mother's final days, and he had cut off all financial support just when she needed it most. That same afternoon, he went to the bank to try transferring money to Jennifer's account, but discovered all the accounts were closed. She had severed every financial tie between them. He decided to go back to the gas station. This time, he brought an envelope with $10,000 in cash. Jennifer, I need to talk to you, he said, approaching her as she checked a car's oil. I already told you we have nothing to discuss. I know about your mother. She stopped what she was doing and stared at him, her eyes filled with pain. You don't know anything. I know she passed away. I know you were paying for her treatment. And I know I blocked your cards right when you needed the money most. Jennifer began to tremble. Tears streamed down her face, but she tried to compose herself. I don't want to talk about this. Please, take this. He held out the envelope. For you and the baby. I don't want your pity. She pushed the envelope back. I don't want anything from you. It's not pity, Jennifer. It's responsibility. If this baby is my child... Stop! She shouted, drawing attention from other customers. Stop saying that. Mrs. Pamela appeared quickly. What's all this yelling? Jennifer, you're disturbing the customers. I'm sorry, Mrs. Pamela. This man was bothering me. Sir, I'll have to ask you to leave. This isn't the place to settle personal matters. Michael left the gas station frustrated once again, but didn't give up. He decided to change his approach. The next day, he went to see Dr. Robert, the doctor at the community clinic where Jennifer was getting prenatal care. They knew each other from a charity event. "Doctor, I need your help. My ex-wife is pregnant and getting prenatal care here. I'm worried about her health." "Michael, you know I can't share medical information. I'm not asking for details. I just want to know if she's okay, if the baby's okay." Dr. Robert hesitated for a moment. "All I can say is I'm concerned. She's been working too hard for someone expecting. Her blood pressure is high and the stress of heavy labor isn't good for her or the baby. Heavy labor? Standing for 12 hours, lifting weights, dealing with gasoline fumes. It's not recommended for pregnant women. I've suggested she take leave, but she refuses due to financial reasons. What if I covered her leave? Could I pay her salary so she could stay home? She explicitly forbade us from sharing any information with you, and she made it clear she wouldn't accept help from you." Michael left the clinic even more distressed. Jennifer was putting herself at risk and he couldn't help her. A week later, a severe storm hit the area. Michael was at home when he decided to stop by the gas station to check on Jennifer. When he arrived, he found the place partially flooded. To her surprise, she was the only employee present, trying to work even as the water rose nearly to her knees. "Jennifer, what are you doing here?" he shouted, stepping out of the car into the rain. "Working," she replied, trying to unclog a drain with her hands. "Are you crazy? Get out of there now." "I can't. If I don't show up, your Walter said he'll fire me and kick me out of the little room." "He can't do that." "Oh yes, he can. I don't have a signed contract. I work day by day." Michael stepped into the dirty water and grabbed her arm. "You're leaving right now." "Let me go," she yelled, struggling. "You don't get to tell me what to do anymore." It was then that she started feeling pain in her belly. Her face twisted as she doubled over, clutching her stomach. "Jennifer, what's happening?" I think it's contractions," she whispered, pale. Michael carried her to the car in his arms, ignoring her protests. On the way to the hospital, she gripped his arm tightly with each contraction. "Please don't let anything happen to the baby," she sobbed. "It's all I have left." At the hospital, the doctors managed to control the contractions. Jennifer was admitted for observation, and Michael waited in the lobby. When she finally agreed to talk to him, she was visibly shaken. "Why didn't you tell me about your mother?" he asked softly. "Why would you care?" she replied, staring at the ceiling. "When we split up, you made it very clear I was an irresponsible addict who ruined our marriage. I was angry, hurt. I didn't know you were trying to save your mother, and I was ashamed. Ashamed to admit I couldn't handle it alone, ashamed to ask for help, ashamed of becoming exactly what you said I was." "Jennifer, forgive me. I should have tried to understand." She turned her face to him, her eyes red from crying. "You know what hurts the most? I really did get addicted. It started as desperation, quick money for Mama's treatment, but it became a real compulsion. I lost control, bet money I didn't have, and hated myself afterward. Why didn't you tell me? Because I was afraid. Afraid you'd judge me. Afraid you'd find out about Mama's illness and feel obligated to help out of pity. And most of all, afraid to admit I wasn't the strong woman you thought you married." Michael's chest tightened. They had lived together for 3 years, and he had never realized how insecure she felt. "The baby, is it mine?" he asked again, more gently. Jennifer closed her eyes and took a deep breath. "Yes, they're yours." "They?" "Twins. 2 boys." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing. Michael's legs nearly gave out. 2 children, 2 babies growing inside Jennifer while she worked 12-hour days at a gas station. "Why did you hide this from me?" "Because I didn't want you to feel forced to come back, and because I was afraid you'd try to take them from me since I can't raise them properly on my own." "Jennifer, I would never do that. You don't know what you're capable of when you're angry. You cut me out of your life completely when you found out about the debts. You wouldn't even listen to explanations. Michael lowered his head, acknowledging the truth in her words. I was wrong. Completely wrong. In the days that followed, as Jennifer recovered in the hospital, Michael made a decision that would change everything. He sought out Walter, the gas station owner. I want to buy your station, he said bluntly. Buy it, but why? How much do you want? Walter, a 60-year-old man who had always dreamed of retiring, didn't hesitate to negotiate. In a week, Michael had bought the gas station through a shell company, keeping the deal completely secret. As the hidden new owner, he began implementing gradual changes. First, he improved working conditions for all employees. Then, he transformed the back rooms into decent small apartments with windows, private bathrooms, and kitchens. When Jennifer returned to work after a week of rest, she was surprised by the renovations. Miss Pamela, why are so many things being changed? She asked. Oh dear, it seems the new owner has different ideas. They said it's to raise the establishment standards. New owner? Yes, mister. Walter sold it. But he said it's an investor from Chicago who wants to modernize the area's gas stations. Jennifer accepted the explanation without suspicion. The improvements continued. Raises for everyone, signed work contracts, health insurance, and reduced shifts to 8 hours. I think I'm dreaming, Kevin remarked. I never thought I'd have labor rights working at a gas station. For Jennifer, the biggest change was the renovated apartment. Now it had a window overlooking a small garden, a clean bathroom and a kitchen where she could prepare proper meals for her pregnancy. Seems like things are looking up, huh? Said Ms. Betty, the woman living in the next apartment. Feels like a miracle, Jennifer replied, rubbing her belly. Maybe the boys really were born to bring luck. For 3 months, Michael's plan worked perfectly. Jennifer regained her health. Prenatal checkups showed the babies were developing well, and she seemed more at ease. But one day, while organizing papers in the station's new office, Jennifer found a forgotten folder with purchase documents. There was the buyer's company name, and digging further, she discovered the company belonged to Michael. The confrontation happened that same afternoon. Jennifer waited at the station until he arrived to refuel, as he'd been doing weekly. You bought the station, she said bluntly. Michael froze. The moment he feared had come. Jennifer, let me explain. Explain what? That you turned me into your employee without me knowing. That you've been controlling my life behind my back. That's not it. I just wanted you to have decent working conditions. By lying to me, tricking me? Because if I told the truth, you wouldn't have accepted the help. Exactly, because I don't want your help, she shouted, drawing the attention of other employees. Jennifer, you're pregnant with twins. You can't overexert yourself. That's my problem. You don't get to decide what's best for me. What about the boys? Don't they have a right to a father? They do, but not a father who lies and manipulates situations to get his way. Jennifer went into the apartment and came back with a small suitcase. What are you doing? Leaving. I won't stay in a place you bought to control me. Where will you go? You have no money. Nowhere to go. I'll figure it out. I always have. Jennifer, please. Michael tried to grab the suitcase. You're 8 months along. You can't live on the streets. I'd rather live on the streets than live a lie. That's when she felt the contractions again, stronger this time. Oh, God, she doubled over in pain. We're going to the hospital now. No, it's too early, she murmured, but the contractions were coming faster. At the hospital, doctors confirmed labor had started. At 35 weeks, the babies would be premature, but had good chances of survival. During the long hours of labor, Jennifer and Michael talked more honestly than they had in years. Why couldn't you ever trust me? He asked, holding her hand through a contraction. Because you never let me be vulnerable, she answered between breaths. You always wanted me to be strong, independent. When I had problems, you handled everything alone without consulting me. I thought I was protecting you. But I didn't want protection. I wanted partnership. I wanted you to trust me enough to let me be part of the decisions even when I was struggling. Like when your mother got sick. Exactly. I should have told you, but I was afraid of your reaction. Afraid you'd take over and solve everything without asking me, like you always did. And I ended up making desperate choices alone. Between contractions, she continued, The gambling addiction. It really started as a way to get quick money, but then it became an escape from the pressure I felt. Pressure to be the perfect wife, to never be a burden, to handle everything myself. I never meant to pressure you. I know, but that's how I felt. Like I always had to be strong and never needed real help. Michael reflected on her words. It was true. Whenever Jennifer had a problem, he'd step in alone, thinking he was being a good husband. He never realized it made her feel shut out of her own life. And after I found out about the debts, I reacted completely wrong, he admitted. You cut me out of your life like I was a problem to be removed. No discussion, no chance to explain. I was angry and disappointed. I felt you'd broken my trust. And I felt you never really trusted me. At the first real hardship, you left me. When the first twins were born after 14 hours of labor, an emotional silence filled the room. 2 tiny boys crying loudly, showing they were healthy. They're perfect, the doctor whispered. Jennifer cried from relief and exhaustion. Michael, seeing his sons for the first time, felt an emotion he'd never known. Can I hold them? He asked softly. Of course, Jennifer answered, her voice trembling. As Michael cradled the first baby, something shifted inside him. This fragile, perfect little being was his son. And the second baby, soon placed in his arms, completed a family he'd nearly lost forever. What should we name them? He murmured. I thought of Ethan and Nathan, Jennifer replied, if you agree. They're perfect names. In the days that followed, while the babies stayed in the NICU for observation, Jennifer and Michael spent hours talking, conversations they should have had years earlier. I want you to know I've really changed, Jennifer said. I went to therapy during the pregnancy at the community clinic. I realized the addiction was my way of running from problems instead of facing them. And I realized my way of protecting you actually pushed you away, Michael answered. I want to learn to trust you more, to share decisions. That doesn't mean we'll be a couple again, she clarified. Too much happened, but we can try to be partners as parents. That's all I can ask for now. When the babies were discharged, they had to make practical decisions. Jennifer didn't want to live in the company apartment, feeling awkward knowing Michael owned it. She also refused direct financial help. I have an idea, Michael said. What if you worked at my company? Not as a favor, but on merit. You've always been good with numbers. You could take business classes and join the finance team. Wouldn't that be nepotism? It'd be an opportunity. You'd study at night. I'd care for the boys. During the day, you'd work and learn. In 2 years, you'd have qualifications and real financial independence. Jennifer considered the offer. It was a chance to rebuild her life with dignity. And where would I live? I can rent an apartment for you, or even better, you could buy one. I'd lend you the money for the down payment, and you could pay it off as a loan with low interest. Why would you do that? Because I want my children to have an independent and fulfilled mother, and because I owe you this after everything that's happened. Jennifer accepted the offer. She started working at Michael's company as an administrative assistant while studying business at night. The babies stayed with him during her classes, and little by little, they developed a routine of partnership. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing. It wasn't easy at first. Ethan and Nathan were born prematurely and needed special care. There were nights when Jennifer would come home exhausted from school and find Michael on the couch, one baby in his arms and the other in the stroller, all of them asleep. How do you manage? She'd whisper, careful not to wake the children. It's easier than I thought. They calm me down. Gradually, Jennifer gained confidence in her new job. She was organized, good with numbers, and most of all, motivated to prove to herself that she could rebuild her life. 6 months after the twins were born, something unexpected happened. During a work meeting, Jennifer presented a proposal to optimize the imports department that even impressed the most experienced managers. Where did you get this idea? Michael asked, genuinely surprised. From my experience at the clinic. I noticed how the supply logistics worked and thought the same principle could apply here. This could cut transportation costs by 30%. I know. I calculated it several times. At that moment, Michael realized he was seeing a new Jennifer, not the fragile woman he thought needed protection, nor the desperate person who had hidden behind addiction. This was a determined, intelligent woman capable of great achievements when given the chance. A year later, Jennifer graduated with top marks in business. Michael's company had grown significantly, partly due to the innovations she'd implemented. "I have a proposal," he said during dinner, while Ethan tried to feed himself and Nathan slept in the stroller. "What kind of proposal?" "I want you to become my business partner. Not because of the boys, but because you've proven you're capable." Jennifer stopped eating and looked at him in surprise. "Partner? You've revolutionized our processes. The company is more efficient and profitable than ever. It's only fair you share in the results. But I don't have money to invest. Your share would be based on the work you've done, a partnership built on what you've already contributed and what you'll contribute." Jennifer was silent for a few minutes, processing the offer. "Does this mean we'll be business partners as well as co-parents?" "Exactly, if you accept. And our personal relationship? It stays as it is. We're friends, partners in raising the boys. Whatever comes beyond that will happen naturally, no pressure." Jennifer accepted the proposal. In the following months, their professional partnership proved even more successful than expected. They had complementary strengths. Michael was more visionary and strategic, while Jennifer was practical and organized. The twins grew up healthy and happy. Ethan was more energetic and curious, always exploring his surroundings. Nathan was calmer and more observant, preferring toys that required concentration. "They're so different," Jennifer remarked, watching them play. "Just like us," Michael replied. "Maybe that's why it works." "What works?" "Our partnership. We're different, but we complement each other." One day, 2 years after the twins were born, something unexpected happened. Jennifer received a job offer from a multinational company offering an executive position with a very high salary. "It's an incredible opportunity," she told Michael, "but it would mean traveling a lot, maybe even moving abroad." "And you want to accept it?" "I don't know. It's everything I've ever dreamed of professionally. But it would mean giving up our partnership, the routine with the boys." "Jennifer, you need to do what's best for you. You can't make decisions based just on me or the kids." "But they need their parents present. And they'll have that. If you accept the offer, we'll find a way to make it work. Maybe I can expand the company to other countries, and we can still work together." "You'd do that?" "I'd do anything to see you happy." Jennifer was moved. It was the first time someone had encouraged her to pursue her dreams, even if it brought complications for others. "You know what?" she said after a few days of reflection. "I'm going to turn it down." "Why?" "Because I'm already living my dreams here. Our business is growing, the boys are happy and healthy, and for the first time in my life, I feel completely sure of who I am and what I can do." "Are you sure?" "Absolutely. That woman who hid behind addiction because she was afraid she wasn't enough, she's gone. Now I know I'm capable of great things, and I want to build those great things alongside the people I love." "The people you love?" Jennifer smiled, stepping closer to him. "Yes, I love you, Michael. Not as a desperate woman who needs saving, but as a partner who chooses to stand by your side. And I love you as the strong, independent woman you've always been, the one I just didn't see before." They kissed for the first time in 3 years. It wasn't a desperate or urgent kiss, but a calm one, shared by two people who had found each other after a long journey. 3 years later, they remarried. Not a big ceremony, but an intimate celebration with their children, a few close friends, and Betty, who had become like a grandmother to the twins. The business had expanded to other states. The gas station had been transformed into a support center for women in vulnerable situations, offering job training and employment opportunities. "Sometimes I still can't believe how much things have changed," Jennifer said, watching Ethan and Nathan play in the yard of their new home. "They changed because we changed," Michael replied, hugging her from behind. "Do you think we would have been happy if we'd stayed together the first time?" "No, not the way we are now. We needed to go through all of that to learn to value ourselves and each other." "What if the boys ask about our story when they're older?" "We'll tell them the truth. That sometimes love has to be lost before it can truly be found. That people can change, grow, and become better versions of themselves. And that family isn't just about staying together. It's about choosing to stay together every day. Ethan ran up to them, holding a flower he'd picked from the garden. "For Mommy," he said, handing it to Jennifer. "Thank you, sweetheart," she replied, bending down to kiss him. Nathan followed, more cautious but with a shy smile. "Daddy, can we play ball?" "Of course, son. Mommy, you coming too?" "Let me change first," Jennifer said. 5 minutes. As she went inside, Michael watched the boys run across the yard. They were healthy, smart, and most of all, happy. They had grown up seeing their parents as partners, seeing that relationships could be rebuilt on mutual respect and understanding. Jennifer came back wearing athletic clothes and sneakers. At 33, she was more beautiful and confident than ever. Time had taught them both that real beauty comes from inner security and the peace one has with oneself. "Ready to lose at soccer?" she teased Michael. "Ready to watch you try," he replied, laughing. They spent the whole afternoon playing with their kids. When night fell, they put the twins to bed and sat on the living room couch, exhausted but happy. "You know what the best part of all this is?" Jennifer asked, resting her head on Michael's shoulder. "What?" "That we don't have to pretend to be perfect anymore. We can be human, make mistakes, have bad days, and still know our family will stay strong. Because now it's built on truth, not the fantasy of impossible perfection." Exactly. They sat in silence for a few minutes, listening to the sounds of the house. The kitchen clock, the distant noise of traffic, the calm breathing of their sleeping children. "Michael?" "Yeah?" "Thank you." "For what?" "For buying the clinic. I know I was angry at the time, but now I understand you were trying to protect me in your own way. And most of all, thank you for letting me grow, even when it meant you'd lose control of the situation. Thank you for teaching me that trust is more important than protection, and for showing me that real love is the kind that lets the other person be completely themselves. The following week, something happened that neither of them expected. Jennifer found out she was pregnant again. "This can't be," she murmured, staring at the pregnancy test. "What is it?" Michael asked, seeing her expression. "I think we're having another baby." Michael was silent for a few seconds, processing the news. "How do you feel about it?" "Scared. The twins are already a handful. The business is growing. But I'm also happy. For the first time, a pregnancy doesn't mean financial or emotional worry. We know we can handle anything together. And we know we don't have to be perfect parents, just present and true ones." The third pregnancy was completely different from the others. Jennifer kept working until the 8th month, but without pressure or stress. Michael was there for every doctor's appointment, and the twins were excited about their baby brother's arrival. "Let's name him Jacob," Jennifer decided, "after the angel who watches over families." "Jacob Anderson Wilson," Michael agreed. "Perfect." When Jacob was born, 3 years after the twins, the family was completely settled. Ethan and Nathan, now 3 years old, proudly helped take care of their little brother. "Mom, can I give Jacob his bottle?" Ethan would ask. "I want to change his diaper," Nathan would say. "Everyone will get their turn," Jennifer would reply, organizing tasks so they all felt included. The business kept growing. 5 years after becoming partners, Michael and Jennifer had expanded to 4 states and employed over 200 people. The support center for vulnerable women had become a regional model, offering everything from job training to counseling. "Sometimes I think about what would have happened if you hadn't stopped at that clinic that afternoon," Jennifer reflected during a family dinner. "I probably would have kept being a successful but empty businessman, and you would have raised the boys alone, working too hard to manage everything, and our kids would have grown up without knowing their father. But that's not what happened. Fate gave our family a second chance." Ethan, now 8 years old, interrupted the conversation. "Daddy, Mommy, are you going to stay together forever?" "Why do you ask that, sweetheart?" Jennifer replied. "Because Peter at school said his parents split up, and now he lives 1 week with each of them." Michael and Jennifer exchanged glances. It was a simple question, but loaded with meaning. "Son," Michael answered, "Dad and Mom did separate once before you were born. But we learned that family is about choosing to stay together every day, even when things get tough." "And do you choose to stay together?" asked Nathan, always more observant. "Every single day," Jennifer replied. "And you know why? Because we discovered we're stronger together than apart." Jacob, now 5, raised his little hand. "Can I choose too?" "Of course you can, sweetheart. You can choose to be part of this family every day." "Then I choose to," he said, grinning. The 3 boys hugged, and Michael and Jennifer felt grateful for building a family based on conscious choices rather than obligations or conventions. 10 years after their reunion at the gas station, life had found a balance neither of them had imagined possible. Their company was a leader in its field, their children were healthy and happy teenagers, and Michael and Jennifer's relationship had become an example for many couples they knew. But life, as always, had more surprises in store. One Monday morning, Jennifer received a call that would change the family's path once again. It was from an international company that had analyzed the work done at the Women's Support Center and wanted to create a similar model in other countries. "They want me to lead the project," she told Michael that evening. "It'd be a chance to expand our work worldwide. And do you want to accept?" "I do, but this time it's different. I want it to be our decision, not just mine." "How so?" "If we accept, we all go together. The boys can study abroad for a few years, you can expand the business overseas, and I'll fulfill this dream. But only if it's a family decision." They talked it over with the kids at dinner. Ethan, now 13, was excited about living abroad. Nathan, the same age but more cautious, had some concerns. Jacob, 10, was mostly worried about whether he could bring his toys. "Let's vote," Jennifer suggested. "But first everyone shares their thoughts." "I think it'd be a cool adventure," said Ethan, "and we can always come back if we don't like it." "I'm scared of leaving my friends here," Nathan admitted, "but I'm also curious to see other places." "I'll go wherever you go," Jacob said simply. "Family is family anywhere." Michael was the last to speak. "I've learned that home isn't a place, it's the people. Wherever we are together, that's our home." The vote was unanimous. They all wanted to accept the offer. 2 years later, the Anderson-Wilson family was living in Boston, United Kingdom. Michael had opened a branch of the company, the boys had adjusted to the international school, and Jennifer was coordinating social support projects in 5 countries. "Do you miss the United States?" Michael asked, as they watched the snow fall outside their apartment window. "I do. But I also know we'll go back. This is a chapter of our lives, not the whole story. What if the boys want to stay when it's time to return? Then we'll decide again, together. We're not afraid of change anymore because we know we can adapt to anything." Jacob, now 12, ran into the room. "Mom, Dad, it's snowing so much. Can I go play outside?" "Yes, but put on your coat," Jennifer replied. "Are Ethan and Nathan coming with me?" "They're studying, but they'll come down soon." Jacob went out excitedly, and Michael and Jennifer stayed watching him play in the snow on the terrace. "He's becoming such a confident and happy boy," Michael remarked, "because he grew up seeing that changes can be positive, that family adapts together, that love is about mutual support, not control." "What about Ethan and Nathan?" "They're learning that responsibility and adventure can go hand in hand. Ethan is more disciplined, Nathan is braver. This experience has been good for all of us." 3 years later, they returned to the United States. The company had established itself internationally, the social support project had become a global reference, and the children had a much broader worldview. "It's strange being back," Ethan, now 16, commented as he drove through the streets of Naperville for the first time. "Strange how?" Jennifer asked. "The town feels smaller. Or maybe I just grew bigger." "Both," Michael replied. "We all grew during these years. Their first stop was the old gas station, now transformed into a community support center. Dozens of women attended vocational courses, and many had already found jobs and financial independence." "Mrs. Wilson!" a young woman called out, running toward them. It was Ashley, who had arrived at the center 5 years ago, pregnant and with no prospects. Now she had an accounting degree and coordinated part of the projects. Ashley, how are you? I finished college, got a great job, and my daughter is growing up healthy. All thanks to what you built here. The credit is yours, Jennifer replied. We just provided opportunities. And changed lives, Ashley added. That night, as they had dinner at home, the family reflected on the journey they had taken. 15 years ago, who would have thought we'd be here like this? Jennifer said. You were afraid I'd try to take the kids from you, Michael recalled. And I was afraid you'd never forgive me. Turns out neither fear came true, Ethan said. You built something much better than what existed before. What do you mean? Jacob asked, always curious. They became true partners, Nathan explained. Not just husband and wife, but friends, teammates, parents who work together. It's different from other couples we know. And you learned that by watching us? Michael asked, surprised. Of course, Ethan replied. You never hid the struggles, but you also showed how to solve problems by talking and working together. And you proved that real love is about helping each other grow, not trying to control them, Nathan added. Jennifer and Michael exchanged emotional glances. They had raised children who deeply understood what a healthy relationship means. End of story. Now tell us, what did you think of this story of resilience? Do you know any couple who managed to rebuild their relationship after great difficulties? Share your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like this video. If you enjoyed this touching story, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other heartwarming narratives.